Don't you always want to be the best you can be?
The Frankie Boyer Show.
What is this?
It's more than a lifestyle show. It's a show about living in today's world.
I think something is happening.
Frankie enthusiastically brings an amazing eclectic mix to the airwaves.
You got that right.
One of the reasons she's earned legions of loyal fans is very simple. When you listen to the Frankie Boyer Show, you just never know what's going to happen next. So listen for yourself. Here is Frankie Boyer.
And welcome. This is such an important segment. This is Frankie Boyer. Joining us today is Danny Quintana. He is the president and founder of the Global High Seas Marine Preserve, which is a non-profit education organization dedicated to educating people on ocean wildlife issues. He's the author of several books, most recently Space and Ocean Exploration as the Alternative to World War III, and Why the Earth is Still the Center of the Universe. He's a graduate of the University of Utah in political science and Utah's College of Law, is a member of the Mars Society, and as always, and it's been too many years, but you have spent decades talking about the ocean, Danny, and it's such a pleasure and a welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me on, Frankie. It's good to be back, and hi to all you people out there. Always listen to Frankie because she's got great advice for you.
You're so sweet. Danny, we know that the state of the ocean is in serious condition, but how bad is it?
Well, right now, as we speak, half of all of the wildlife in the oceans has been slaughtered. 90% of the predator fish, that's the large fish, the huge bluefin tuna, the big predators have been slaughtered. It's like going to the Serengeti and there's no lions or hyenas or leopards because they've all been killed.
Yeah.
The Asians are killing 200,000 sharks each day for shark fin soup. And then you talk about the garbage that's being dumped into the oceans, over 10 million tons a year. They're a mess, and we've got to clean it up, and we need to turn it around, and we have an idea on how to do this.
So my question to you is, when we see one of a species going through trauma and they're having a hard time reproducing, we protect them. Who's protecting these big fish in the ocean? Is anyone?
Well, that is the heart of the problem. You hit it right on the nail. In the high seas, which is the area past 200 miles, because within the first 200 miles, nations have what's called the exclusive economic zone. And out in the high seas, it's the wild, wild west. There's literally no law enforcement. So it's basically what's called the tragedy of the commons. It's the race to catch the last fish. If the fish belong to everyone, then it belongs to no one. So you get fishermen out there that are overfishing, and you get the mess that we have. So what we're proposing is amend what's called the Law of the Seas Treaty and create a global high seas marine preserve where we protect all of the wildlife forever. So 100% of the oceans would be protected. Now, Frankie, that's important because the oceans cover 70% of the planet. So when we go through with this idea, basically we will solve the majority of our environmental problems. Because fixing the problems on land is a matter of just getting people to change their diet. Just eat healthy and you have a healthy planet.
Not so easy for people to do. Not so easy for people to do at all. Danny, this is such a hotbed because explain to us, this is such a big conversation. And Sylvia Earle from NOAA, I spoke with her a decade ago, and she
is wonderful.
Oh my God, isn't she? She's such a delightful human being. And she was saying back then how concerned she was. And she said, I don't think people realize that if there is not a healthy ocean, that we will not survive. So the state of the ocean is critical for humans to survive. And that message has been lost, Danny.
Well, it doesn't get publicity. The mass media, the big five, don't pay attention to something like that, because when you're standing on the beach, and most Americans live within 50 miles of the ocean, you look out there on the ocean and everything looks pristine and fine, but you can't see what's going on under the waves. Half of all our oxygen comes from the ocean, and the majority of life on Earth, the majority of species are in the ocean, and we're discovering new species every day, deep. So it's something that all of us have a shared interest in protecting, which is why I'm optimistic that we can do it. And we can do it. It's a matter of just changing international law, and we can use our Navy. That's why I wrote my new book, is Space and Ocean Exploration, the Alternative to World War III. We can use the world's navies for enforcement. So that gives the Navy a new, basically, contract, a new mission. We can give the armies of the world cleaning up all of the damage that we've done with our landfills and with our rivers being polluted and all the rest. And with the aerospace contractors, what I recommend in my new book is have all of the nation's space programs combine into a giant space program to explore the inner solar system, because that's such a massive endeavor, Frankie, that we really can't do it alone. I know there's efforts now for China, Russia, Japan, the European Union, and ourselves and India to go to the moon. But to really explore the solar system, mine the asteroid belt, build colonies on Mars and so on, is going to take a combined human effort, and it will demilitarize the planet. But getting back down to Earth to the practical matters that we need to do here, and let's be practical for a minute. If we get other nations to adopt our marine laws, and we have the best marine laws and the best enforcement in the world, then everybody wins. Because if you want good seafood, and I would encourage people to really support American fishermen, because we do it right, our fishermen do it right, just eat seafood from your own country. Here in the U.S., when you buy seafood from Alaska, you're getting clean seafood that's been inspected, that has been very carefully regulated. I mean, the regulation that goes up there is amazing. One of my interns, Dash Robertson, was just up there, and he brought me back this incredible salmon steak, the fillet that is just terrific. So you want to eat seafood, but make sure it's only from your own country. There's no reason to be importing seafood all the way from Chile or New Zealand and all these other places.
And Danny, there's so much misinformation, because some of the fish that are being used are not even at the age to mature to even have babies, because they're being killed before they have babies. And one example is that very fatty fish, and we gave it a name. What are we calling it? It's really an ugly name.
Oh, the Chilean sea bass.
Chilean
it used to be
sea bass.
Patagonian toothfish, and they renamed it Chilean sea bass so that it could sell.
Yeah, so we gave it a pretty
Frank,
name.
You're absolutely right. You know,
what's the real name of that fish? And it takes 20 years for that fish to have babies, something like that. It's outrageous.
Oh,
it's
you're thinking of orange roughage. Yeah, they shouldn't even.
One of them, it takes a long time. But they changed the name so that it would not be so ugly for people, and they market it, and because it's a fat fish, it's so fatty, you can freeze it forever and it'll still taste good. And that's part of the problem. That's part of the bigger picture.
If we want to save the wildlife in the oceans, quit eating it. God. And now with microplastics and all the toxins that are in the oceans, it's not necessarily the best food choice. The diet in the developed world has caused horrendous health problems. I mean, think about this, Frankie. 70% of Americans are overweight, 50% are obese, and 40% are now morbidly obese. And I was looking at a study the other day, a friend of mine showed me, 40% of the applicants for the armed forces cannot pass the physical. God,
it's
that's
true.
terrible.
It's true. I've heard this.
You know,
Danny, we have to take a quick break. I can't believe how quickly this segment went. Let's take a quick break. Recap. We'll be back in a moment. Give us the best website and how people can get your new book. So important to support Danny's work.
SavingOceans.org and Amazon.
Wonderful. Say it again. SavingOceans.org.
SavingOceans.org is our website. And my name, Oceans. Danny Quintana, on Amazon, and you'll see the book.
Wonderful. A real visionary and champion. We'll be back in just a moment with Danny. I'm Frankie Boyer. Stay tuned. We are back. He is truly Danny Quintana. When did SavingOceans.org? When was this? Tell us how this became your passion in life.
Well, I like to write and I like to do research, and I've been studying about nuclear weapons since I was 8 years old. And I was trying to think of a way that we could demilitarize the American economy. So I wrote the first book on this, which is Space and Ocean Exploration, the Alternative to the Military-Industrial Complex. And as I was doing the research, I think all of you out there in Radio Land have at one time or another had an epiphany where something just grabs you and says, I've got to do something about this. So it's 4 a.m, and I'm doing the research, and it's half the wildlife in the oceans is gone. I go, what? And then I do more research, and 90% of the large predator fish are gone. What? And then we're killing 200,000 sharks each day. And it's like, oh my gosh, we've got to do something about this. And I got this epiphany that, well, let's change the law. Let's create a global high seas marine preserve and protect all of the oceans. And let's give the aerospace contractors exploration of space and the Navy contractors exploration of the oceans. So that's how the Global High Seas Marine Preserve was created, and that was about 8 years ago. And I got a really nice letter from President Obama, Frankie, but, you know, he didn't follow any of my advice. I mean, they did create one of the largest marine protected areas,
yes.
but...
Yes. By the way, you also... I just want to mention to everybody that you also continue to practice law with this passion as well, and that you play wheelchair tennis, and you still are a prolific author.
Well, I like using the proceeds from my law practice and our books to deliver wheelchairs to other countries and to fund our nonprofit. So we have our nonprofit that funds 10 interns with the University of Hawaii. And then we have a couple other interns over there. And then we have some with the University of Utah, with Texas A&M. And if any of you out there are interested in an internship, you know, we ask your college professors to give you college credit. So just reach out to me, and you can reach me through SavingOceans.org. The book can be purchased on Amazon, and my last name is Quintana. So if you look up Danny Quintana and then Space and Ocean Exploration, the Alternative to World War III, because we have to stop this drift towards another war. It's senseless. It's got to stop. You know, Putin made a giant mistake, and so did the United States. There is no alternative to peace. The problems facing the planet are so intertwined that whether we like each other or not, and we don't have to like each other, but we must work together, people out there in Radio Land. We must work together. And working together, human problems always have a human solution. They just do.
Yes. Yes. We have to. We just have to. Give us some examples of what we as consumers can do. Who do you want us to support? Who do you want us not to support?
Well, what I would recommend to all of you out there is support your local fishermen here from the United States. They need to be paid better. Their jobs are extremely dangerous, and they're competing with foreign companies that are not playing by the same set of rules. These foreign companies get tax subsidized, and they dump their seafood on our market. And the other thing is when you buy seafood from another country, there's no guarantee whatsoever that what you're buying is actually what's on the label. I would not recommend buying shrimp from Southeast Asia. Only 4% of the seafood that's imported into the United States is inspected. So, look at your food choices. Try to go with a more vegetarian diet. Stay away from beef, chicken, and pork because industrial farming is a disaster for the planet. And be healthy. Just eat less, eat right, and exercise. And that's the best thing you can do for the environment. And that's the best thing you can do for the oceans. And do simple things like buy a tumbler. Do not buy plastic water containers at all.
Yeah, I know.
Stay away from single-use plastic items. I mean, I think, honest to God, Frankie, I think that plastic is the existential threat to humanity and to the planet. I mean, climate change is a problem, and obviously it's a big problem, but plastic is huge.
Yes. What's happening is the birds are eating the plastic, and the fish are eating the plastic is everywhere. I stopped eating fish a long time ago because I'm concerned about the plastic, and I don't want to eat it, but for me,
and the mercury,
and the toxins,
Mm-hmm.
and all of it. It's just a bloody mess. It's just a bloody mess, Danny. And no one is talking. Not many are talking about it. And Sylvia Earle was absolutely spot on when she said, if we do not take control of the oceans and understand that if we do not keep them clean, there will not be an Earth. There will not be an Earth. There will not be a planet Earth. There will not be mankind. And that's a radical, huge comment that she made. And it's worse today than when she made it.
Well, she's right. But the thing is I'm optimistic. Maybe it's because I have this beautiful granddaughter. It's a year old. But we can turn it around. We can turn it around by changing the diet. And, don't count on your congressman or your senator or your politicians to help. You want to see who's going to help, look in the mirror. That's who's going to help. And you have control over this, ladies and gentlemen. You have control because you control the purse string. If you don't buy their garbage, they can't sell it. Every time you go into a grocery store or retail outlet, remember, within 6 months of your purchase, it's probably going to end up in a landfill. We don't throw anything away because we're all on the same planet. So what we have to do is change the economic model, and that starts with you, ladies and gentlemen. So please buy our book, support our internship program, support our nonprofit, and just eat right, exercise, don't use single-use plastics, and be kind to each other. We don't have to like each other, but I don't believe, Frank, even for 1 minute that we have enemies. I don't think Russia or China or Iran are our enemies. There are people over there on the other side of the planet that are going about their daily lives like we are. And I think we all need to just work together, clean up the mess we make. We need to look at every crisis as an opportunity. It's an opportunity for change. And cleaning up the planet can create millions of jobs because it's labor intensive.
Absolutely, Danny. Absolutely. Danny, where are the most concerns in the world that you have for fish and wildlife right now? Oh,
my gosh.
I'm going to have
Southeast
you back.
Asia.
Yeah, I was just going to say it has to be Southeast Asia. Danny, you and I talking, we just said it off air as well as on air. It goes so quickly, and I'm always so grateful for the work that you do and for the vision that you hold for all of us, and the website and the book and all of that. Go ahead and give it.
The website to support our nonprofit is savingoceans.org, and the book is Space and Ocean Exploration, the Alternative to World War III. We have to stop this drift to a world war. We just do. And
Absolutely.
That starts with you, ladies and gentlemen. It starts with eating right, exercising, loving your family and your neighbors, and loving yourself. So I wish all of you out there in Radio Land to really, really have good health, good manners, and be kind to each other. And also thank Frankie for the tremendous work she is doing.
Oh, thank you so much, Danny. We got to run. We'll be back in just a moment. Frankie Boyer, stay tuned. back. It is Frankie Boyer, and it is a real pleasure to welcome to the program someone who's been involved in theater for practically her whole life. Gail Papp is with us today. And Gail, you have had the most extraordinary career. You have a new memoir, and the new memoir is all about New York City's public theater and your husband, Joe Papp. And the book is it's this new memoir, and it's very revealing about what you went through. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. It's lovely to be here.
But you grew up in a home with theater everywhere, correct?
Sort of. I come from a family that has several generations of actors in it, mostly in the distant past, although there were three of them that I did know as I was growing up. My parents were not in the theater. They were writers. But when I became working age, I felt I wanted to keep my connection to the theater in some way, but I wasn't an actor myself. So I got into the production area of it and finally ended up at the new public theater, which also does free Shakespeare in New York City in Central Park. And it was a conscious sort of course correction and desire on my part. And it's related, I would say, to the memory of theater in my family.
The new book, by the way, the new memoir is called Public, Private, My Life with Joe Papp at the Public Theater. And the Public Theater, when did it open, Gail?
Well, the Public Theater was opened in 1967 in a building that eventually housed 6 stages. And our first production was the original production of Hair, the musical.
Oh, my gosh.
And it was...
That's right. It started there. That's exactly right.
Quite
yes.
a wild time.
Oh, my gosh.
That was in 1967.
That's amazing. Absolutely amazing. Gail, you were the developer of new plays and musicals, and you did free Shakespeare in Central Park to new plays. Right. I mean, it goes on and on and on.
Well, the whole organization was quite amazing. When we opened with Hair, there was a staff that was very, very small. We had all been in a different place doing free Shakespeare in Central Park and nothing new. So we had no background in doing new plays, let alone a new musical, which was a groundbreaking rock and roll for its day. So we sort of learned as we went along. And Joe, who had started this enterprise, had begun in the 1950s with his idea of doing free Shakespeare, making it available to the people of New York City. So he started in the mid-50s. I came on board in the mid-60s, which was the start of the public theater, which had been preceded by the Free Shakespeare organization. So we were a very small staff at that time. There were only about 12 people producing these works. And for me, it was a marvelous working experience. It was also a learning experience in terms of Shakespeare and then working with writers when we developed the public theater.
Gail, how did you meet Joe, and was it love at first sight?
No, I can't call it that. He was a fascinating person. I just recently been fired, actually, from another job, and I was desperately seeking work, and I thought, well, I want to continue in this theater, so I'll write to all the producing organizations in New York City and see if anybody has a job. This is really a strange and desperate kind of thing for a person to do. I really just wanted to be in a theater, and I didn't really know that the obstacles that would be in my way. But anyway, I sent out 88 letters, which I typed individually, a little portable, because this was long before the internet or anything of that sort. So it was a labor, and I sent off these envelopes. And I was living in a one-room apartment above a drugstore in Greenwich Village at that time. And all of a sudden the phone
How
rang.
fabulous. What a neighborhood. Oh, my gosh. What a neighborhood.
Yeah. And so the phone rang on this small apartment kitchenette wall. I answered it, and there was a guy at the other end that said he was calling from the New York Shakespeare Festival. They might have an opening for summer temp work. It's temporary. So I thought, oh, I need a job. So I went up to the office, which was then a suite of rooms in a shabby hotel uptown. There was no public theater of any kind at that point. And I was interviewed and by a personnel manager. And so I started working in this Midtown office in the hotel. And I'd been told that the person who had begun this Shakespeare enterprise in Central Park was Joe Papp, but I hadn't met him yet because he was directing a play and he was in rehearsal elsewhere. So this was in April 1965, and one day he came into the office.
Yeah,
and he walked past my desk. He didn't know who the heck I was or what I was doing there. I was a summer temp, you know. But he said, good morning. I said, good morning. Then one day, when he was passing by my desk, he stopped all of a sudden for what I would call a nanosecond. And he said, I wore my hair down. I usually put it up on top of my head, but I wore my hair down that particular day. And he said, oh, he said, the Juliet look. You should always wear it that way. Then he strode into his office. So that was the first personal exchange that I had with him.
So I just want to give a little backstory about this extraordinary, amazing man, because he really, as a producer and director, and the founder of the New York Shakespearean Festival, but he won more than 200 stage, film, and television awards. He was called the most important force in the English-speaking theater in the 20th century. He was also an outspoken champion of human rights and the First Amendment. He really and truly produced over 600 plays and musicals by 1991. That's amazing, absolutely amazing. And your work, Gail, in public theater include the Normal Heart, Larry Kramer's Tony Award-winning play about the AIDS crisis, for which you won the Human Rights Campaign Arts and Communications Award. And also, you have been involved with The Mystery of Edwin Drood. Is that correct?
Yes, right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you guys got married in what year? 1976?
1976, yeah. It was almost 10 years after I begun working at the organization. And what the interesting aspect of this theater was that, unlike most other theaters in New York City, at least, it was founded by somebody from a humble background without any money or any major backers or donors. Joe came from an impoverished background, actually. He was born in Brooklyn. His parents were immigrants from Poland and Lithuania. He had no advantages growing up, except his own interests and his own God-given
I am
personality,
just-
which was fascinating.
I am so thrilled that you have been with us today. We're out of time, but the new book is out.
It's a pleasure to be with you. Thank you so much.
No, it's our pleasure. It's absolutely our pleasure, Gail. Public Private, My Life with Joe Papp at the Public Theater. It's available wherever books are sold. And is there a website you want to promote as well, or is that just to find the book?
Sure. You can go to my name, Gail Papp. It's GailPapp as in Peter, .com. That takes you to my website. And there's a lot of stuff there that might be of interest.
Wonderful.
A lot of pictures,
Thank you
too.
so much, Gail. So appreciate it.
Thank
and we'll
you.
take a quick break and
Okay.
be right back. It's Frankie Boyer.
Wonderful.
Stay tuned.
Bye-bye.
And welcome back. Joining us now is multi-award winning author Eddie Chukalate, and he is Creek and Cherokee. He is a Creek and Cherokee Indian. You grew up in Oklahoma. You now live in Minneapolis, and your new memoir is out. It's called This Indian Kid, a Native American Memoir. Getting rave reviews, by the way, rave reviews. This book is absolutely an honest book about how you grew up, shuffled between different households. It was an impoverished lifestyle. But despite the challenges that you faced, you say that there was so much love and bountiful lessons from your Creek and Cherokee heritage. Eddie?
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about this life that you've had and why you wanted to write this new memoir.
Yeah, I wrote a collection of stories for adults called Shine Madonna. And in writing those, I uncovered, some experiences from childhood that didn't really fit into the adult story, but it brought back a lot of memories. So I started keeping a notebook of the stories that didn't make it concerning childhood. And I showed one of them to my agent, and he really liked it and said, do I have any more for, like a book link that you think there's a book there? And that's how all that started.
Ah, nice. Very nice. You grew up in Oklahoma in the 70s. Your parents were divorced. You say it was a racially mixed environment?
Yes. In Muskogee,
13 I'm
what
sorry,
I
go
consider
ahead.
my hometown.
Yep.
A lot more racially diverse than a lot of towns.
You went to
Which I'm thankful for.
13 different schools, Eddie. 13.
Yeah, 2 in the first grade.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
I had forgotten that I thought I went to that my Calera Elementary where I ran away from school. I thought that was my only school. My mom sent me a box of pictures and report cards, and I found the other report card from another first grade. And so even in first grade, I didn't finish the whole school.
Wow. You became very good friends. Your best friend was Black, and that impacted your friendship?
Yeah, Lonnie, he lived right down the road from us. And since we lived so close, we rode the same bus to school, went to school together, played the same baseball team. But we've kept in contact over the years, even up until this day.
Oh, I
and
love
he was
that.
the one
I
my
love
uncle
that.
got the throat there at the beginning. Called him the N-word.
Yeah. Eddie,
It's
what do you want people?
that I never really saw again after that. He passed away. The next time I saw him, he was already passed away.
So sad. What
He
is
was
it
my
that you
uncle, but
want?
not someone that I saw on an everyday basis.
What do you want readers to take away and listeners from your memoir?
I guess for kids, it's well, first of all, to stay in school because you never know what route you'll take, who you're going to meet or who will have an influence on your life. And also to say just because your parents or grandparents are racist doesn't mean that you have to be. And race doesn't matter among people who will be influential in your life. They can be white, black, Indian, Native, Asian, whatever. So race doesn't matter when someone's trying to help you out.
And you want this story to be heard because you say that your story can be anyone's story today.
Right. And it's also to show that Native Americans are more varied than just people on reservations that go to the casino and play bingo.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
also
absolutely.
live in a small town America, I guess.
Yeah, you've won so many awards, so many writing awards, and you began as a journalist at age 16 while still in high school.
Right, and that came because of I decided to go out for baseball, and when I made the team, my coach was a former sports writer who taught journalism. So he had me in his class, and he saw that I had a knack for it, and he turned me over to the local daily paper, and that's how I started.
That's unbelievable. That's unbelievable. And you've won a Penno, a Henry Prize, and was selected by so many. You won a Wallace Stegner Creative Writing Fellowship at Stanford. You've earned a master's degree at the University of Iowa Writers Workshop. And you still absolutely love writing. But, you've done everything, though. You've picked pecans, you've moved furniture, you've worked as a day laborer, you received food stamps, you sold your plasma. You've done it all, Eddie. And I think you give us a lot of hope. And I thank you so much for being with us. This Indian Kid is his new book. It's a Native American memoir. And Eddie, Chukalate, thank you so much for being with us. And thank all of you. This has been another edition of the Frankie Boyer Show. Thanks for listening. Make it a great day, everybody. And as always, smile.
And if you smile through your fears and sorrows, smile, and maybe tomorrow you'll see the sun come rocking through for you. Oh, light up your face with gladness, hide every trace of sadness, although it's here, maybe ever so near. And if you smile through your fears and sorrows, smile, and maybe tomorrow you'll see that life is still worthwhile if you just smile.